Oh, good morning. It's my honor to be standing here talking about the development of Hong Kong in technology innovation, and it's actually difficult to speak after the three speakers. I'll do a little bit of my introduction myself just quickly. I'm not a civil servant, although I run a science park. I've never worked for the government. And in fact, I spent all my life working for multinationals, including 15 years in GE. And the story goes like this. In 2014, I was running GE Oil and Gas in Shanghai, and headhunter called and said that they are looking for a CEO of a Hong Kong science park. My response at that time was that you must be joking. First of all, Hong Kong technology, they don't match. Hong Kong is all about finance and logistics and tourism and retail. Technology innovation never occurred to me. And I was born educated in Hong Kong. I have an engineering degree from Hong Kong U, MBA from China U, but I never really worked in Hong Kong. So when that hunter called, my first response was that you must be joking, Hong Kong technology. And then my second response was, you cannot pay me enough. Anyway, I've been doing this for the past 7 years, and I have been skeptical, and so is a lot of people. And I am still skeptical, but I think we've done a lot of work in this area. Just the latest development is that the Hong Kong government has put in roughly 190 billion Hong Kong dollars into innovation technology in the past 7-8 years. It actually was started by C.Y. Leung in his tenure as the chief executive. And I honestly believe that Carrie Lam was the one who really made it work. And the highlight was June 30th last year, when President Xi visited Science Park. He was supposed to spend 45 minutes in the Science Park on the 30th of June. He actually spent an hour and a half. He doubled his time. He visited a number of laboratories. He was talking to us about the latest development, and he talked to us. There are a number of things that he said during the visit, and one of them was that Hong Kong has to be the international innovation technology hub of the country. International. There are innovation technology hubs in China, including the Yangtze River Delta, Beijing, Tianjin, Hebei, Jing-Jin-Ji, and Hong Kong, Greater Bay Area. And he said that Hong Kong has to be the international innovation technology hub. I understand. My understanding is that the strength of Hong Kong, like we just talked about, is that we have basic research, and we have to focus around that, and we are a magnet for talents from all over the world. So these are the two main areas that we need to focus on. However, I think in the past we have been doing very well in the basic research. We have a lot of good universities, we write good papers, but commercialization is not so good. And this is exactly what we, Science Park and Cyberport, are supposed to do to help the basic research turn into commercialization. This is exactly what we need to do. So very quickly, I'll talk about the next page first. This is actually from policy address by John Lee last year about the innovation technology, and then in December, the government actually pushed out a blueprint. In my opinion, I've never seen anything like this by the Hong Kong government, writing up blueprints and giving direction on a certain area. I would encourage you to take a look at this blueprint, download it, or get a hard copy. It spells out the direction of how do we develop innovation technology in Hong Kong in the next few years. Actually, in the past 6 years, as a science park guy, I have never seen so much of strategic direction. There's a lot of debates about whether these are the right things to do, but at least we're starting somewhere with the direction. And basically, we're talking about enhancing the I&T ecosystem and new industrialization, not reindustrialization, new industrialization. We need to bring industry back to Hong Kong. Talent pool on the top right, digital economy, and then integrate into the China development. 融入国家发展. So these are the four main areas, and we talk about semiconductor, biomedical technology, AI, data, smart cities. So I will encourage you to download this blueprint, debate about it, and improve it. This is a new era for Hong Kong in terms of technology innovation. Never been done before. But quickly, I want to talk about Hong Kong Science Park. The format is getting off stage. The Science Park, I hope you have been there before. You have not, I would encourage you to go there. Free parking and 40 restaurants. Most importantly, we have, it's a small place, only 22 hectares, 0.2 square kilometers. But we've built 400,000 square meters of space right now, of 12,000 companies in the park. We have a handful of big companies, including Hitachi, TCL, some of these big companies, but most of them are small to medium-sized enterprises. On the top right, we talked about working population of 19,000. I think we're getting close to 20,000 now. You go there at lunchtime, you see a lot of young people walking around. When I say young people, they are slightly older than universities, 25 to 30, but much younger than Causeway Bay and Central. I'm the outlier. 19,000 working population. Most importantly, there's 12,000 research and development. The main reason is that there's a mandate by the Science Park Board that every tenant in the Science Park have to have at least 50% of the population in research and development to be admitted as a tenant. In fact, in the past 4 or 5 years, I have actually personally kicked out some companies that are not doing enough R&D. Some of these big companies, go to Zhongguancun in China, they will talk about 总部经济, you want a big headquarters to be stationed in Science Park. But we do not have enough space, so we actually refused a couple of the big computer companies, starting with they want to move their Causeway Bay headquarters to Science Park. I said, no, you don't. You just set up an R&D center there. And that is why we are the biggest concentration of research and development talents in Hong Kong, 12,000 of them. There are about 30 to 40,000 R&D in Hong Kong. So every 3 R&D people, there will be 1 in the Science Park. And actually, when I started on this job, it was tough because we have only 60% occupancy, and we are refusing applicants with not enough R&D. Nowadays, I'm 90% occupied. I am only selecting the best companies to be stationed there. So we are building up an ecosystem. There are a few other things on the middle right. There are a number of unicorns coming out from Science Park Sense Time. I'm sure you heard about it. Lalang Move is a startup from Hong Kong, from Science Park, 2014. There's another company called SmartMore. You may have heard about it. This is a industrial visual AI company that started from Chinese University. The company started in February 2020. 2021 in February. In October, in 18 months, the company became a unicorn. This is crazy. This is a deep technology from Chinese University. They just found the right spot and the right investors and the right team. They become a unicorn in 18 months. And there are a number of other biomedical companies in the Science Park that are ranked as unicorn, but they are pretty low profile. They don't want to be known. Of the 12,000 companies, on the bottom left, there are 900 of them that are in the incubation program, that are startups. I'll talk a little bit more about that. And also, like Hendrik is saying, we have a venture fund. We have an investment community. This is a big thing that we did in the past 5-6 years, that the government is throwing up a lot of money into promoting innovation technology. But one of the things that we say is that the investor should be the investor rather than the government. The investor will really help the startups, and we have been spending a lot of time bringing in investors and partners to help our startups to grow. I'll talk a little bit more about that. So this is the main function of the Science Park. We started 20 years ago, and we have a lot of communal facilities. We started 20 years ago with a lot of semiconductors, microelectronic type of labs. The objective is that we buy all those equipment and put it there. If you're a small company, you don't need to buy those equipment, and you can start doing your product development, research and development in there. And now it has been developed into semiconductor failure analysis, biomedical, data, AI, robotics, and even virtual. We even have animal facilities in Science Park, but I'm not going to tell you where. It's unmarked. We have animal facilities in the Science Park, doing experiments on small animals. So this is a main function of Science Park, providing communal facilities for startup to develop their products. Of course, you are big enough, you want to buy your own equipment, that's fine too. And we'll encourage you to share. So this is the main function of what we do, physical lab and virtual lab. This is actually the most important kind of investment by the Science Park. And then at the same time, we also run an incubation program. Anyone with an idea, right in the middle of the incubation, we have about 300 to 500 companies in the startup program. It ranges between 3 to 4 years. You work with us we'll give you some funding, and we'll give you some mentoring and help you with product development, finding customers, finding investors. If you are not sure, we run the ideation program on the left. This is for anyone, mostly university students or graduates or youngsters, or doesn't have to be youngster, old people can do that too. You have an idea, you want to start a company, but you're not sure. I'll give you $50,000, $100,000. You work with us for 6 months to 1 year. I want you to validate your price, your market, your regulatory framework, everything else. And if you're not comfortable starting a company after 6 months, 1 year, you spend the money, you go back to study or go back to do whatever you want. No question asked. If you want, you can start a company and join our incubation program. So right now we have altogether about 200 to 300 teams doing this kind of ideation. We're not touching the equity. We just give them the money. Of course, you have to go through a panel and convince us that you have a good idea, you're committed. So altogether, between incubation and ideation, we have almost 900 companies and teams doing all these development startup. Now, you look at acceleration. Every year from the incubation program, we pick out the best 10 companies, and we'll bring them through acceleration program. At that point, I will take up some stock options. That is one way that we want to bring this company to even more intensive training and be successful. And right now we have altogether with 70 companies in this acceleration program. And I think that in the future, this will be one of our sources of incomes. And this is also a summary of some of the things that we do other than communal facilities and incubation. Right in the middle, I talk about this acceleration program that 70 of them in our program now. Valuation is going up. We have stock option. This will be a major source of income. By the way, Science Park is if people say that I'm a 地产项目 real estate project, I will admit it because my only source of income is rent. And I collect the rent and then put it back to the ecosystem, building up these incubation programs and communal labs and everything. But in the future, our investment will be one of the sources of income. I believe this will be a big one. On the right-hand side, I'm also a venture fund, just like the Cyberport venture fund. At the moment, it's 600 million Hong Kong dollars. It will become 1 billion. It's a matching fund. We will invest only if someone else is investing. So far, every dollar we invest, we will bring in $19. And we've invested in 30 plus projects, and we'll do more. On the left, this is another one that we've developed in the past few years, is that we work with partners. New World, MTR, AstraZeneca. The key is that for the startup, they have good ideas, they have good products, they have good technology, but they need application. They need the real life examples. So we work with these big corporations. They provide the application scenario. And for the big companies, they could go in and test out the new technologies. And they could acquire, they could try, they could walk away. And these are serious partners. I mean, for example, one example is Chinachem. It's a real-life example. Chinachem built up the central market. They interviewed about 60 of our startups. They adopted about 15 technologies. If you go to central market, you will see building monitoring, air conditioning monitoring, new air conditioning, robots, POS, counting people. So Chinachem is exactly one of our partners. Another example is slightly different, very different, is AstraZeneca. We have a co-incubation with AstraZeneca. They in the areas of oncology. So they have a lot of information on patients about oncology, and they want to find out the molecules and the diagnostics or therapeutics methods from the scientists in Hong Kong. And the scientists in Hong Kong, the incubators, they want to find out the applications, the real-life examples, the patient's information. So this is a perfect match. So we are doing a lot of this partnership now, 200 plus corporate partners, and every one of them is serious in trial and even adoption. So we are doing all these things to enable success from the technology research and development in Hong Kong. I want to go very quickly on this one. This is, the format again is not good, but Hong Kong government in 2018 teed up 10 billion Hong Kong dollars, 100 to build up 2 clusters. One of them is health, and the other one is AI robotics. The money is spread around about 28 centers. Each one of these centers will be doing research and development with an international research and development center. All the universities like Chinese University, Hong Kong U, UST, they will be partnering with someone else overseas. For example, Chinese University, Hong Kong U is partnering with Cambridge in stem cell research. This is one of the clusters. And each one of these centers, they will have 300 to 500 million Hong Kong dollars in research funding in health or AI robotics. And they are not writing papers. They're not using the money in the universities. They are all doing those in the science park. So in other words, every one of them would have some angle for commercialization. Every one of them would have 300 to 500 million Hong Kong dollars, 300 to 500 million Hong Kong dollars in their pocket doing research already. So in my opinion, this is a huge treasure, a resource for early stage startup to leverage on the basic research that are partnering with international research institutes. And this will yield a lot of results in the future. And I understand that, I believe Professor Sun Dong was talking about this morning too. They will continue to invest in this kind of basic research to enable success. And we hope that we'll bring in more ecosystem players, including investors, partners, industrial partners, whoever to help us do that. Actually, I have another 5 or 6 pages to go, but I'll just skip them and let's go to the discussion. Thank you.